The good news is Ori got a buff, which she is one of the units that actually desperately need a buff. The bad news is... she still sucks sadly. The new character for this time is Ori. Ori from Octopath 2 in Potential Story, and is also one of the more important characters in Octopath 2. And she is a merchant in this game, and she is, honestly, for me, quite resemblance to a Tressa, because they're both merchants and they both also has a hat and kind of look similar too, so... Ori is not a spear DPS, rather she is a merchant who supports other spear and wind DPS based on her skill. Her skill is mostly revolving around her mechanic, which is like auto point, and getting those auto point will let you grant bonus to like your entire team and stuff. She does have some DPS skill, however, all her DPS skill isn't that good at all, so it's better for you to just go for a support skill, which is most of them inflict like a lot of implants. First is breaking news, it's a 2-hit AoE spear. It also inflicts 2 stack of spear implant and every other element. I call it rainbow, so it's like every elemental. It is nice, I mean it's 2 stack of everything. I will mention a big problem with this later. At max boost, you also get 2 extra implant. So you max boost this, you get 4 spear implant, which is nice I guess. Not as good as Tiziano 6 implant, and there's also like plenty of problem with this. But let's move on for now. She also has a skill called Fear Report, which I think out of all her skills, this is actually her best skill, because it's a debuff, 15% spear rest down. Actually, now I think it's... She also has a debuffing skill called Fear Report. It's a priority going first, and she also debuffs spear and wind resistance down, and she also grants self 1 to 4 article points based on your boost level. I will say this though, there's rarely any character who's like runs spear and wind. Oh wait, there's also Reek. Oh wait, I just realized they... Wait, I just realized they both merchant and then they both like got buffed but they both still suck. Anyway, the merchant Kate aside, yes, the problem is, like the 2-hit wind and spear, like, it doesn't fit at all. Like, you either run a full spear comp or you run a wind comp. And wind comp isn't even viable, so you only run spear comp, so the wind implant is kind of wasted here. And then she also has her EX skill, which activates when you have 4 implant points. It's the same as the normal skill breaking news, except this one actually inflicts all weakness instead of just the elemental plus spear. And at max boost, you are just plus 2 hit spear and also wind implant, which again is the exact same as the one above breaking news. I honestly, in all honesty, like the skill is so similar. Like I know like it looks fancy because it inflicts like all weakness, like all 14 weaknesses, but like it's like it's flashy, but it's not super useful. For Ori notable passive, this one is actually pretty useful. I would say this is like the most useful thing she has in her kit. A passive where when an enemy is broken, everyone will recover 3 boost points, then then Ori will also implant 2 AoE spear and wind. However, I would say there's a few downsides to this passive though. 2 I can think of. Number 1, yes, the 3 boost point is nice, however, it has a problem where because the max boost point is 5, so if you're someone who hasn't used the boost point yet and 5 boost point you boost max, right? You will not get the boost point even if the enemy is broken. You only get the boost point after you consume the boost point, even though it shows that it consumes the boost point when you're boosting. So therefore for those characters, mostly attacker, who is waiting for the other character to break, this passive, they will not gain any boost point at all. So mostly this passive, this 3 boost point from this passive is beneficial to those in the back line and to the one that break the enemy. So overall your DPS is not gonna get this, and you're gonna need some other source of boost point region for your character to boost max twice in a row. Second, this skill also inflict AoE, 2 stack of AoE wind and spear, but like 2 stack isn't that much, so it's also kind of bad. I guess you can combine it with the other character. You can also have Ori be the breaker, but Ori to be the breaker, she also get 3 boost points to herself and just like grant the entire background. She also get more article point for her buff, I guess. Not listed here because the article point buff is very much hard to fit in this entire slide right here. However, essentially, the article point grant you buff at 3 point, 6 point, and 9 point. It's just that these type of buff and debuff to your team and to the enemy is not good enough. Like the number is very small, it's like only 10%. It was like 20%, right? It would be at least more useful. even then, the rest of the skill doesn't work really well, so it kind of sucks entirely, honestly. Well, at least there's one benefit to inflict all the implant onto the enemy, is that this passive will trigger if you have 6 reveal weakness, and you will grant 15% spear damage up and damage reduction, which is... honestly, why? Like, Richard, okay? You know, it was like from 2 years ago? Richard grant 20% attack up and 15% spear damage up already, just by having 4 HP. This only grants 15% spear damage up and damage reduction isn't that important, so the buffing sucks. And then for her ultimate, she has a 5 with AoE spear that can shield shave and can also inflict more stagger wind and spear. Wow, all of his skills is very similar. All of them just like inflict, but there's no big payout to this! The problem with Ori is that compared to the other... to her peer, Tiziano is already a good unit. He was a great unit even without the dagger implant. And the reason why he is so meta is because there is a DPS that can take advantage of his implant and always buff very well. Kaina strongest move is an 8-hit, but she also has a 2-hit that hit very hard, and also a 5-hit, which in case that Tiziano's 6-hit implant for the 8-hit Blue Barrage isn't enough, then you can just use Kaina 5-hit instead. And also in a Kaina team, Kaina is like your sole DPS. It's mostly Kaina Tiziano, and then like you bring other buffer and then just like support Kaina. So therefore, the dagger implant is very much needed because Kaina can use them all without like needing more implants. Ori, however, she inflicts 2 stack of implants for max boost to a lot of weakness. However, it's mostly relevant too because of above, it's only the Spear team. And Spear team, most of the good Spear DPS do more than 4 hit, like most of them. Asuka has a 10-hit ultimate and a 12-hit EX skill. Roland has a 6-hit AoE spear attack. I wonder if anyone still uses Roland. And there's also Sasanto's EX, which is actually 4-hit. Oh hey, the jump is actually 4-hit. There's another problem with that though. In addition to the implant being not good enough, Ori herself doesn't provide enough utility to the entire team. She doesn't provide like ultimate spear or spear defense resistance down or something. She doesn't provide like ultimate spear defense buff or something, or like just massive like all spear and defense down debuff or something. She is split between debuffing wind and debuffing spear, and that is not enough. She is not a good enough unit and the implant is not good enough. Hence why, unlike Tiziano where both of what he does is good, Ori is the opposite of that. And also there's a problem where character DPS exploit a lot of elemental weakness. So when you put the implant onto the enemy, a DPS that can hit like many elements will hit all of that element and also use up all of that implant stack. Hence why most of the implant that Ori put on will be wasted. Now if Ori has been buffed to like every single 2-hit AoE spear, she inflicts 6 stack of all weakness implant, then Ori might actually be good. She actually has a good passive with a 3 boost pointing, a decent one. And she might have a niche where she can like be the... allowing other DPS to hit any weakness while waiting for like the true weakness system break unit like Signa and Maruso EX arrive. But she will at least be better than this. But she isn't. Her buff is not enough. It's similar to Ray, where they both got buffed, but it still isn't enough. Hence why, final score, she got a 5 out of 10. You can pull for her, you like her. I pulled for her in JP, and I did not regret pulling for her though, because I like Ori a lot. However, I did use Ori personally, and I would say she is really not good at all. So it's better to just like save her other character. And finally, here is a preview of the upcoming 8 travelers coming to this game. Again, the score isn't final. They might get a buff that might change the final rating and stuff. For now, the only 2 must-have top-tier character over the close future again is Potters and Media, which I think Potters gonna be arrived in December, so at least there's some time to save before then. But for now, we're probably gonna get Relisha and then get a bunch of rerun and then wait for the anniversary for Potters, I guess. And that's it for now. Bye bye!